One morning, Athanase left her home to visit her parents. They lived 10 miles away, near the Bon Dieu River in Louisiana. She didn't come back that evening, and her husband, Cazot, became worried. Cazot talked to his servant, Felicite, as she served him dinner. He sat eating alone under the light of an oil lamp, while Felicite stayed nearby like a shadow. "She's only been married 2 months, and already she's leaving. That's not right," Felicite said. Cazot shrugged. He didn't care much about Felicita's opinion. He was used to being alone and didn't mind it for a night or two. After finishing his meal, he stepped outside. The night was growing darker, and shadows surrounded the trees in the yard. In the distance, someone was playing an accordion, and nearby, a baby was crying. Cazot's horse was ready and saddled. He still had work to do on the farm before bed. Even though he tried not to think about Athanase, her absence felt like a deep wound. Later that night, as he lay in bed, an image of Athanase's pale young face, with soft lips and deep eyes, filled his mind. He knew their marriage was a mistake. He could see in her eyes that she didn't like him. Still, the marriage couldn't be undone, and Cazot was determined to make the best of it. He expected her to try. These sad thoughts kept him awake for hours. The moonlight shone into the room, and everything outside was still, except for the faint sound of the accordion. The next day, Athanase didn't return. Cazot sent a message to her through her brother, Monteclan, asking her to come home. But she didn't come back. On the third day, Cazot decided to go find her himself. Athanase's parents, the Miches, lived in a large house owned by a trader who lived in town. The house was too big for them, so they often used the upstairs rooms for parties. People loved visiting the Miches for a dance and Madame Miche's delicious gumbo. When Cazot arrived, Madame Miche was sitting on the porch. She stood up to greet him. She was a short, cheerful woman, but she looked nervous as he approached. Monteclan was there too, and he didn't hide his dislike for Cazot. "Dirty pig," Monteclan muttered under his breath as Cazot climbed the steps to the porch. Monteclan had disliked Cazot ever since he refused to lend him money. Now that Cazot was married to his sister, Monteclan hated him even more. Cazot greeted Madame Miche, who offered him a chair. Athanase had locked herself in her room. She wouldn't leave last night, Madame Miche explained. She stayed for a little dance, and the boys wouldn't let her go. Cazot shrugged, showing he didn't know anything about it. "Didn't Monteclan tell you we were keeping her here?" Madame Miche asked. Monteclan hadn't told him anything. "And what about the night before?" Cazot asked. "Do you have dances every night?" Madame Miche laughed nervously and told Monteclan to call Athanase, but Monteclan refused. You know it's no use, he said. Athenais already told us she's not going back to him. Cazo's face turned red with anger, but what Monticlin said was true. When Athenais returned to her parents' house, she told them she was staying. She couldn't understand why she had gotten married. Girls were just expected to marry, and she liked Cazo, but she hated being married. Monticlin asked her if Cazo had mistreated her or drank too much. No, Athenais said. I just hate being married. I don't like being called Miss Gasso. I want to be Athenais Miche again. I don't like living with a man with his clothes everywhere and his ugly bare feet. Monticlin wished she had a better reason for leaving, but she didn't. Cazo, now furious, walked into the house and went to Athenais' room. Athenais, get ready, he said calmly. It's late, and we're going home. Athenais felt hopeless. She couldn't keep fighting against being married. She got her hat and gloves, walked past her brother and mother, got on her horse, and rode home with Cazo following behind. That night, Cazo ate dinner alone while Athenais cried in her room. Athenais' parents had hoped marriage would make her more responsible. No one understood why she hated being a wife so much. Cazo had never been mean to her or refused her anything. His only fault was that he loved her. But Athenais didn't want to be loved by him. At breakfast, she complained. Why did you marry me when there were so many other girls? She asked. And if you hate my brother so much, why marry his sister? I married you because I loved you, Cazo replied. I thought I could make you happy. I was wrong, but we might as well make the best of it. Athenais felt that only her brother Monticlin supported her. Her parents and friends had turned against her. Monticlin came up with a plan to help her escape, and she agreed. The next morning, Cazo woke to find Athenais gone. She had packed her things and left during the night. Cazo felt an emptiness he had known for weeks. He realized he had lost his chance for happiness. He wrote her a letter, saying he didn't want her back unless she returned willingly. Athenais had gone to New Orleans, staying in a private hotel Monticlin had arranged for her. She became friends with Mr. Gouvernail, another guest. He soon fell in love with her, but believed Athenais still loved her husband, even if she didn't realize it. Athenais grew homesick and started feeling unwell. When she told the hotel owner, Sylvie, about her symptoms, Sylvie calmly explained that Athenais was pregnant. Athenais was shocked but overjoyed. She couldn't wait to tell her mother and Cazo. Thinking of her husband filled her with warmth and excitement. The next day, she traveled home. When she arrived, Cazo helped her down from the carriage, and they hugged tightly. The night was calm, with only the sound of a baby crying in the distance. "Listen, Cazo," Athanase said. "How Juliet's baby is crying. Poor thing. I wonder what's wrong with it."